Hi, and thanks for dropping back in. So, we've talked about what I think is the most important thing in estate planning, which is advanced care plans and simply having a right relationship with the Lord. With this episode, we're going to talk real quick about the importance of powers of attorney. Powers of attorney are like the forgotten document in estate planning. You know, people will all the time call the office. They want a trust, they want wills, they want this, that, or the other. And you know, a lot of times power of attorney is the afterthought, but it can actually be an extremely powerful document. So what are we talking about? We're talking about a document where you name people to have certain powers. So it may be powers for financial matters. It may be powers for health care. One that is often forgotten is it may be a power for minor or disabled children. All of these give people power to actually work in these folks' lives, work in your life. And so where does that come in? So I'll see instances where, especially when we're dealing with an elderly person, and none of this planning has been done, and now all of a sudden somebody else needs to make decisions. Well, they never nominated somebody to do it, and now they have to have it done. Typically, you'll find them living in a facility or needing to move into a facility or whatever. And so we'll actually have to go to court and get what's called a conservatorship. Sometimes it's called guardianship, but typically conservatorship. And so essentially, what you could have done for next to nothing, or a very small fee, in having that power of attorney, now you've got to pay an attorney to get a report from a physician, to file something with the court. The court's at least going to appoint, at least here in Tennessee, they're going to appoint at least another individual called a guardian ad litem to go out and talk to the person who needs the conservatorship. If they think that a fight needs to happen, that somebody's trying to take away powers that they shouldn't, now they're going to appoint an attorney ad litem. So in theory, you could have 3 separate attorneys appointed to figure out whether or not this person needs a conservatorship. Then they're going to have annual monitoring by the court if it's granted and all of that, which could have been fixed with a power of attorney. So these are extremely powerful documents. And then if you'll notice, I've talked about relationship with the Lord. I've talked about advanced care plan. Now I've talked about powers of attorney. I haven't even gotten to wills and trusts, which are what I get called most often on. So that's why in this series, I want to talk about things that really affect your life, things that, as we've talked about, help you to live well and to be remembered as a hero that you already are. Well, powers of attorney are a big part of that because they're extremely easy document. They're extremely powerful document, but they're also very, very often overlooked. And before I wrap this up, let's talk about the one that rarely gets discussed, which is the power of attorney for childcare. So imagine the situation. Mom and dad still have kids at home. They have a bad date night, and somebody needs to make some decisions. You know, children need to go for dental care. Children need to go for medical care. And again, mom and dad are laid up in a hospital bed. They can't make those decisions. Who's going to do it? So that's where that child care power of attorney form comes in. Now, people will call up all the time. They'll have minor children, and they'll want to nominate the guardian in their will. That's great, but before we get to the will, who's doing those things? Who's making those decisions? Who's able to help out whenever, again, mom and dad had the bad date night? That's where that child care power of attorney comes in. So when you're looking at your documents, regardless of what state you're in, you want to look at your advanced care plan. You want to look at your powers of attorney. Who have you given power to? And have you gone far enough? Have you done enough, especially if there's minor children or a disabled child at home, a child that you have conservatorship over? Who's going to make those decisions? Who's going to stand in your place whenever you can't speak? So again, I thank you for joining in. I thank you for dropping in. Please feel free to hit like and subscribe. Remember, I am a Tennessee attorney. I'm not trying to practice law in any other state, although these principles do apply in most, if not all. I am not professing that I'm giving out legal advice for every other state. And if you've not signed something, if you've not paid me money, please don't anticipate being a client until you do so, although I'm happy to talk to you about that. So again, I'll see you next time. Thanks for dropping in.